Got a treat for you, Mr. DJ. A Deep Purple record, obscure Deep Purple song covering a well, it was produced by Phil Spector. It was written by Phil Spector, Ellie Greenwich, and Jeff Barry. It was originally covered by Ike and Tina Turner. 1966, River Deep, Mountain High. Deep Purple did it. A psychedelic, hard edge version geared towards the hippie audience, although they did try for a mass appeal on this record. I'll go into that in just a minute. And this is just incredible. Deep Purple really, well, it's not that far-fetched. You had Vanilla Fudge covering You Keep Me Hanging On, Supreme song, and Deep Purple covered Kentucky Woman, even more far-fetched. Kentucky Woman by Neil Diamond. That was the first single off their second album, and then the second single was the major, heavily edited version of River Deep, Mountain High. River Deep and Mountain High, it's a whole psychedelic progressive thing on the album, over 10 minutes long. But the record company released a 2-minute version, 2-minute, 30-second version, something like that, to be played, be radio playable. But I'll get into that in just a minute. Let's go back to the history of this record real quick. 1966, Bill Spector. He poured everything into this record, River Deep, Mountain High. He thought his wall of sound, the layering, the strings, or whatever, the echoes, and you got Tina Turner's absolutely gut-wrenching, soulful voice. Marry them together and you got yourself a hit record, right? Not necessarily. But Phil Spector, he really poured himself into this record. He spent the cost of making the original version of River Deep, Mountain High was $22,000. And he used a record crew, crack session musicians. Los Angeles, played on the West Coast, played on so many hit records on the West Coast back in the 60s. And he used 22 of those musicians, 21 session musicians, 21 background vocals behind Tina Turner. And Tina Turner gave an incredibly, Tina Turner, sexually charged, just absolutely uproarious lead vocals, but partially drowned out by the echoes and these 21 background vocals. And Phil, and even one account that I read, that when the members of the wrecking crew, the session musicians, when they heard the final results, they were disappointed. They were like, "Oh my God, he just drowned out Tina Turner. Didn't compliment her vocals." And they started shipping it out to radio stations. Tina Turner's not. Ike was not on this record. He was not on this record. Tina Turner sang on it, and they shopped it out to various radio stations, and they were, "What the hell is this?" It just didn't fit the sound at the time. Phil Spector's prime had passed by 1966. It was not 1963 when he was producing records by the Ronettes. And, the Crystals, the British Invasion was still in full force in 1966. And the garage bands began to flourish in 1966. The harbinger of the psychedelic bands came into play in 1966. Shadows of Night, Count 5, Blues Magoos, Motown very strong in 1966. Hard to compete against that. Phil Spector's wall of sound a little bit out of sync, and the radio stations would not play it. And according to an account that I came across, Phil Spector was heartbroken. He was almost shattered. The song went to something like number 99 on Billboard's Hot 100, just barely made top 100, Hot 100 here in this country. But overseas, it was a smash. Phil Spector must have at least taken some comfort from that. It was a huge hit in England. George Harrison praised the record. Perfect from beginning to end. And George Harrison later worked with Phil Spector. Later on, post-Beatles, or even during the end of the Beatles, but that's another story. The group members of Deep Purple probably heard the song when it was a hit in England, and they just decided to have a go at it. The album is called Book of Taliesin, Taliesin, Taliesyn. Kind of like the Book of Thou or something like that, I guess. Kind of a play. Book of Taliesin. Their second album. First album, Yielded Hush, and that was, oh my God, it was a huge hit, Deep Purple. First single off this album was Kentucky Woman, went to number 38. Great performance on that record. Great rock and roll record. And much closer to, say, a cross between Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels and maybe something harder by the Beatles, like Birthday or something like that. It just rocked. But the album did not do as well. The second album by Deep Purple did not do as well. It went to number 54. I wrote it down somewhere. Well, bottom line was it didn't crack the top 50 on the album charts here in the States. To gin up some sales for the album, they took River Deep, Mountain High, the record company, and they shortened it. They released a 2 or 3 minute version of the song, but it didn't do too well. I don't think it even made top 50 on Billboard's Hot 100, but it's a treat to listen to. And they spent a lot of money on this album. Think about it, 1968, early 1969, the record company advanced $250,000 for Deep Purple to go into the recording studio for a couple of weeks to rehearse, write songs, and record. $250,000 in 1968-69, that's a colossal amount of money back then. In today's currency, it'd probably be well over $1 million. Well, let's go to Billboard's Hot 100. The song River Deep, Mountain High on Billboard's Hot 100 January 25th, 1969. It debuts at number 72. Number 72 on Billboard's Hot 100. Promising debut. Great psychedelic record, but not a hit. But a jam, just the same. Definitely a record collector's item.